Have you ever wondered what separates successful individuals from those who struggle to achieve their goals? While luck and talent can play a role, there are specific factors that consistently determine one's level of success. In this video, we'll explore the key ingredients that can help you reach your full potential and accomplish your dreams. Whether you're striving for career advancement, financial freedom, or personal fulfillment, understanding these factors can make all the difference in your journey to success. So, buckle up and get ready to learn what it takes to achieve your wildest aspirations. Now let's go back to the beginning and revisit our initial definition of what it means to be successful. Who is in the driving seat here? One is only able to be regarded as successful if he or she is making consistent progress toward the accomplishment of a worthy goal. He is the sort of person that says to themselves, "I'm going to become this," and then proceeds to go out into the world and begin working toward achieving that goal. I'm going to identify a few of the people throughout the globe who have achieved the greatest success. One definition of success is the one who is able to realize her long-time desire of working as a teacher. This person has achieved success. A woman is successful if she has achieved her goals of becoming a wife and mother as a result of her hard work, and is doing a good job at both of those roles. She yearned to settle down and have a family of her own. The reason why the person who owns the gas station on the corner is successful is because he decided to start his own company and pursue his aspirations. The effective salesperson is the one who not only strives to become a top-tier seller, but also grows and develops with his company over time. This is the element that will determine your level of success. If a person is carrying out a predefined work purposefully, because it is the job that they consciously chose to take on, then that person is considered to be successful at what they are doing. On the other hand, just 1 person in 20 accomplishes anything like that. Because of this, there isn't much of a feeling of competition in the contemporary world, unless we manufacture it for ourselves. Unless we do this, there isn't much of a sense of rivalry in the modern world. It is not necessary for us to compete with one another. All that is required of us is to create. Now, for the past 20 years, I have been looking for the solution that would enable me to anticipate what would happen to a person. I couldn't help but wonder if or not there was a hidden truth that, if uncovered, would transform the future into a place where there is cause to have hope, and where we can make accurate predictions. Existed a strategy that, if one knew how to implement it and had access to it, would make it possible for a person to achieve their goals and become successful. In any event, I was successful in locating the key that corresponds to that description. Have you ever given any thought to the topic of why some individuals are able to get all they want without putting in nearly as much effort as others, despite the fact that some people seem to work so tirelessly while others do not? If so, this is a question that you should consider asking. They exude a sense of magic about them. You've eavesdropped on them when they were chatting about another person and heard them using that term. Everything that he comes in contact with turns to gold. Everything. Have you ever noticed that a man who has achieved success has a better possibility of continuing to achieve success in the future? If so, please share your observations in the comments section below. On the other hand, have you ever observed that a guy who has failed at anything before has a bigger chance of continuing to fail at things in the future? The answer lies in the pursuit of objectives. There are those of us who possess them, and there are others of us who do not. People who are aware of where they want to end up have a better chance of getting there, and therefore should set goals for themselves. Imagine for a second that a ship is about to depart from a port, and that the whole route that the ship will follow has been properly mapped out and organized. Both their final destination and the length of time it will take to get there are well known to the captain and the crew of the ship. It has a specific goal that it works toward. In 9,999 out of 10,000 instances, it will arrive at the location that it was in the beginning planned to go to. Now let's take a second ship and construct it just like the first one. But instead of giving it a crew or a captain to drive it, we'll leave it unmanned this time. Let's give it no aiming point. No aim, no destiny. To put it another way, we start the engine, and then we let it continue to run. I am certain that you will concur with me that if it manages to break free from the limits of the if there is any type of port at all, it will either be destroyed by flooding or end up deserted on a beach someplace. It is unable to go in any direction since it does not have a specific location in mind nor a route to pursue. In this aspect, a human being is an appropriate comparison. Consider the example of the individual working in sales, for example. There is not another person in the world right now who could possibly compete with you in terms of your ability to become a great seller. Selling is the profession that may bring in the greatest money throughout the globe if two conditions are met. 1, we are really good at what we do, and 2, we have a clear idea of where we want to go. Every company understands the importance of having salespeople who consistently perform well and offers incentives to such employees. Anything is possible when working with them, but the question is, how many of them can be found? Someone in the past said that the human race is rigged, but not to stop the powerful from winning. Rather, it is fixed to prevent the weak from losing. One may make the analogy that the status of the American economy is similar to that of a convoy during times of war. The whole economy is slowed down in order to protect its weakest link, much as the convoy had to proceed at a rate that would enable its slowest vessel to remain in formation. This is analogous to the situation in which the convoy was traveling. The situation is quite similar to when the convoy had to move at a pace that allowed even the vessel with the slowest speed to stay in formation. As a result of this, making a living in the world we live in now is not nearly as difficult as it formerly was. In today's world, neither exceptional intellect nor exceptional ability are required in order to maintain one's financial stability and care for one's family. If a person's goal is to attain the highest possible degree of safety and protection, then it can be said that we have arrived at a point where they will find what they are seeking for. However, before we can break through this ceiling, we need to determine how far we want to push ourselves and how far we are willing to go. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's get back to the story that I wanted to tell you today, which is the strangest secret in the whole world. Why is it that men who have goals in life are more likely to be successful than those who don't have any? Permit me to share something with you that, if you genuinely put in the effort to grasp it, is going to immediately bring about a substantial shift in the way you live your life. Your life will alter in ways that you could never have imagined if you take the time to completely absorb all that I'm going to discuss with you from this point on. If you do this, your life will change. You will suddenly come to the realization that good fortune just seems to be attracted to you. You won't be prepared for it when it happens. The things that you want seem to materialize all by themselves, and going forward, you won't have to cope with the challenges, anxieties, or worrisome sensations that you could have had in the past. When you put your trust in God, feelings of anxiety and uncertainty will quickly become things of the past for you. The following is both the key to success and the key to failure, and both are equally important. What we focus our thoughts on becomes manifest in our lives. Please allow me to emphasize this point one more time. What we focus our thoughts on becomes manifest in our lives. Throughout the course of history, many of the most influential thinkers, such as philosophers, prophets, and wise men and women, have reached a consensus on a variety of subjects. This consensus has been passed down from generation to generation. They only find themselves totally and entirely in agreement with one another over this one specific topic. Listen carefully to what the famous Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius has to say in the passage that is presented below. Once he was quoted as saying, "What a man gets out of his life is what he thinks of his life." It is said that Benjamin Disraeli made the observation that, if a guy would simply wait, everything would come to him. I have come to the conclusion that a human person who has a definite objective must succeed in accomplishing that objective, and that nothing can stop a will that is prepared to risk even one's life in order to see its completion. After giving a lot of consideration to the matter, I arrived at this conclusion. A man is what he thinks about all day long, as stated in a quotation that is ascribed to Ralph Waldo Emerson. According to a quotation attributed to William James, "The greatest revelation of my age is that human beings may alter their lives by changing the attitudes that they have about life," which he said was the largest discovery of my age. And he continued by saying, "All we have to do is act as if the thing in question is real, and it will undoubtedly become real as it grows into such a connection with our life that it will become real." To put it another way, all that is required of us is to behave as if the object in question already exists, and it will materialize before our own eyes. It will get so entangled with our daily routines and our feelings that our interests in it will become the defining characteristics of our beliefs. He also remarked in another speech that if you just care enough about an outcome, you will almost certainly locate it. You can reach the level of financial success you want if you put your mind to it. If you have the desire to better yourself, you will succeed in doing so. If you put forth the effort to become outstanding, you already are. You are the only one who can really hope for these things, and you are the only one who should desire for them. You cannot want for 100 other things that are consistent with your wishes, with the same degree of passion as you wish for these particular things. It is mentioned in the book of Mark, chapter 9, verse 23, that if thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. This scripture refers to the person who believes that all is possible. Dr. Norman Vincent Peale is credited as having said that this is one of the most essential laws that govern the universe. I truly regret that I did not learn about it when I was a lot younger and might have used it to my advantage. Outside of my relationship with God, I didn't recognize its importance until much later in life. Nevertheless, once I did, I regarded it as one of the finest, if not the very greatest discovery I've made throughout my whole life. I didn't realize its significance until much later in life. When you think about things in a negative light, you will attract similarly unfavorable experiences and outcomes. This is the big law, and it can be summed up in a manner that is both straightforward and pithy. If you make the conscious decision to frame your thoughts in a constructive manner, you will naturally attract beneficial results. The wonderful rule of riches and success is built on top of this straightforward reality, which acts as the basis. In a nutshell, have faith and you will accomplish. These are the words that guide us. When he said, "Our doubts are traitors and cause us to lose the good we oft might achieve by afraid to try," William Shakespeare said it best. In a past interview, George Bernard Shaw was quoted as saying, "People are always blaming their circumstances for what they are." I don't place much value in things that are happening outside of me. People who get ahead in this world are the ones who get up, go out, and look for the conditions that they want. And if they can't find them, they create them for themselves. Those who don't get up, go out, and look for the conditions that they want are not the people who get ahead in this world. If I'm being really honest with you, this isn't much of a secret, is it? And for a while, everyone who learned about this was under the notion that he was the first one to find out what was going on. What we focus our thoughts on becomes manifest in our lives. Now it stands to reason that a person who is thinking about a specific and worthwhile goal is going to reach it because that is what he is thinking about, and we become what we think about. Therefore, a person who is thinking about achieving their goal will succeed in achieving their goal. Therefore, a person who is actively working toward their goal will be successful in accomplishing that goal. If, on the other hand, a man does not have any goals to strive for, does not know where he is headed, and the only things that may fill his mind are thoughts of confusion, worry, dread, and concern, then that guy will become what he thinks about. He will become what he thinks about, because he won't have anything to think about. His life will be fraught with frustration, dread, anxiety, and concern if he doesn't give himself anything to think about. If he doesn't give himself anything to think about, he won't have anything to think about. Now, how does it work? Why is it that what we think about most often ends up shaping who we are? Permit me to explain how it operates, at least to the best of our current understanding. Permit me to begin by describing a situation that is comparable to the operation of the human mind, so that we can better understand this point. Imagine for a moment that a farmer owns some land, and that this property was very fertile and productive. The farmer now has alternatives available to him as a result of the land itself. Whatever he decides to grow there, the land won't care, since it doesn't give a damn about what he does to it. The farmer is the one who will make the decision in this situation. Remember that we are making comparisons between the human mind and the world in this paragraph, because the mind, much like the land, does not care what is planted in it. It is a blank slate. It makes no difference what you plant, since it will bring back whatever it is that you put in the ground. For the sake of this illustration, let's pretend that the farmer is carrying 2 seeds in his hand. The first item is a maize seed, while the second is nightshade, which is a plant that is considered to be dangerous. He prepares 2 separate planting holes in the soil, one for the corn seed and the other for the seed of the nightshade plant, and then plants both of them. Even if he fixes the holes in the land, waters it, and takes care of it in every other way, what kind of outcomes can we anticipate? Whatever is planted in the ground will always come back to life, regardless of the circumstances. According to the Bible, what you sow is what you will reap, which means that the choices you make about what you plant will have an effect on the fruits of your labor. Keep in mind that the land couldn't give a hoot about what you do. It will return poison in such a gorgeous abundance that it will rival the beauty of the grain it will return. Now we are seeing the growth of 2 plants. One of them is maize and the other is a poisonous plant. Now, when compared to the land, the human mind is significantly more fertile, significantly more incredible, and significantly more mysterious. However, it operates in the same way. There is no relevance to the matter of what we plant in the ground. Success, failure, a definite and deserving goal, or doubt, misunderstanding, anxiety, and several other unfavorable feelings such as these. But whatever we plant in the world will one day grow up to harvest for us. You must come to terms with the fact that the human mind is the only major continent that has not yet been thoroughly explored to the fullest extent possible. It has resources that are much beyond anything that we could have ever conceived of having at our disposal. Whatever it is that we want to plant in the ground, it will bring back to us. You could be asking yourself at this point, but if that's the case, why don't people utilize their thoughts more often? On the other hand, I think that they have as well discovered a solution to that difficulty. When we are born, we are already equipped with a mind as the default setting. Because there is no financial risk involved for us, we do not place a high value on it. When it comes to items that are provided to us without charge, we do not behave in this manner. Things that we believe merit our financial investment are things that we consider to have value. The paradox arises from the fact that the contrary is, in point of fact, accurate. All of these things, our brains, our souls, our bodies, our objectives, our dreams, our ambitions, our intelligence, and the love we have for our families, our children, and our friends, all of these things were gifts to us, and they are the things that give our lives its true meaning and significance. The things that we have to pay for are, on the whole, not very costly, and we are free to replace them any time we choose. On the other hand, we don't have to pay anything at all to use these priceless resources. It is feasible for a person with strong moral principles to start again and construct a fresh financial foundation for themselves. That is something that he can do on a recurring basis. Even if a fire completely destroys our home, we will be able to construct a new one in its place. On the other hand, we will never be able to find a suitable replacement for the goods that were provided to us without charge. The human intellect is underused simply because we fail to grasp the value of what it is capable of. The more you are exposed to something, the more repulsed you will become by it. It is able to do any duty that we assign to it. Nevertheless, in general, we opt to use it for less significant chores rather than bigger, more important tasks. Research conducted at universities has shown that the majority of us only use around 10% of our talents at any one moment. Come to a conclusion right this second. What is it that you desire? Create a mental picture of what you want to accomplish. It is the most important decision you will ever be forced to make in the course of your whole life. Do Do you want to improve your performance in your present job while also gaining a reputation for being an outstanding salesperson? Do you want to go through the ranks in your company and have a good reputation in the neighborhood where you live? You need do nothing more than think about adopting that perspective. That is all that is asked of you. Be sure to look after it carefully. You will ultimately achieve any goal you set for yourself if you work consistently toward accomplishing it. In addition to the fact that it is going to take place, there is just no way that it won't. You have to understand this. It's a rule. Just like the rules that Sir Isaac Newton discovered, like the laws of gravity and other things like that. If you climb to the top of a building and then jump off of it, you will never reach an elevation that is greater than where you began. The same can be said for each and every one of the other natural laws. They never fail, and their application is unrelenting and uncompromising. Take a deep breath and try to imagine optimistic thoughts about the goal you've set for yourself. Visualize yourself in the future, and imagine that you have already accomplished the goal you set for yourself. Visualize yourself performing all of the activities that you'll be able to do once you've reached the goal that you've established for yourself in the future. There have been many other labels attached to our current period, some of which include the phenobarbital age, the age of ulcers, and the age of mental breakdowns. At a time when improvements in medical technology have brought us to a new level of good health and longevity, far too many of us worry ourselves into an early grave trying to cope with things in our own small and personal ways without learning a few great laws that will take care of everything for us. This is despite the fact that there are advancements in medical technology that have brought us to a new level of good health and longevity. This is due to the fact that we are not aware of the existence of a few excellent rules that will take care of everything for us. Because of the way that most of us tend to think, we are the ones who are responsible for bringing these difficulties upon ourselves. Every single one of us is an aggregation of all of our own thoughts and ideas. Whether or not he would admit it, the fact that he is now situated where he is due to the fact that this is the location that he considers to be his ideal destination. Because the thoughts you have today, tomorrow, next month, and even next year will mold your life and decide your future. Each of us will have to rely on the results of the fruits of our own thoughts in the years to come. This is because your life will be shaped by the thoughts you have today, tomorrow, next month, and even next year. Your actions are a direct result of the things you think. When I was in Arizona one time, I recall seeing one of those enormous earth-moving machines roaring along the road at about 35 miles per hour with what appeared to be 20 tons of dirt in it. This happened while I was driving through the state. This incident left an impression on me. A little man was situated at the very top of the massive and wonderful vehicle, and he was holding the driving wheel in his hands. He was controlling the automobile at the time. I was driving along, and I couldn't help but notice the similarities between that machine and the mind of a person. Imagine for a second that you are in charge of such a gigantic energy source from the command center. How would it feel? Are you going to assume a passive position, fold your arms, and let it to drive itself into a ditch? Or are you going to keep both hands firmly on the wheel and handle and steer the situation? Which option do you plan to take? Power to a certain objective that is both significant and deserving. Your choice is entirely up to you. You are going to act as the driver from this point on. You have to realize that the legislation that helps contribute to our wealth is also a double-edged sword, since it may be used against us. Our minds need to be trained to think in a more rational way. The exact same rule that may lead a man to a life of success, riches, and happiness, and all of the things that he has ever dreamed of for himself and for his family, can also lead him right into the gutter. This is because both versions of the rule are based on the same law. It makes no difference whether he uses it for good or for evil. Everything depends on his motivations. This is without a doubt the strangest secret that has ever been protected. Why do I call it a puzzle, and why do I imply that it is out of the ordinary? In point of fact, none of this should come as a surprise to you at all. It is possible to find it again and again throughout the Bible in a variety of ways, and the first people to spread it were some of the early wise men. However, only a small percentage of those who have learned it actually understand what they have been taught. It is why it is so strange, and it is also why, for some equally perplexing reason, it effectively continues to remain a secret. The explanation for both of these things is beyond me. Even if you went out into the world and strolled down the main street of your town and asked one man after another what the secret to success is, you probably wouldn't find a single person in a month who could tell you the answer. This is the perspective that I hold, and it is based on the fact that I have done both of those things. Now, if we truly comprehend this information and put it to good use, we will have reaped an incredible quantity of the benefits that come along with using it. It is necessary to us not only for our own lives, but also for the lives of those who are important to us in various ways, such as our family, our employees, our partners, and our friends. Not only is it vital to us for our own lives, but it is also vital to us for the lives of others. The trip we call life ought to be one that's joyful all along the way. Never should it become boring or routine. A man should be fully present in his life and make the most of every opportunity he has. The moment he opens his eyes in the morning, he ought to spring enthusiastically out of bed. Because of his talent, he needs to be employed in a field in which he may use his skills while still enjoying his work. At one point in time, I had the opportunity to be a part of the audience when Grove Patterson, the editor-in-chief of the Toledo Daily Blade, delivered a presentation. Something that he stated as he was winding down his comments will stay with me for the rest of my life. He made a remark that may be paraphrased as follows: "My years of working in the newspaper business have convinced me of countless things. Two of them are the fact that people are, on average, nice, and the fact that we all come from someplace and are moving in the direction of somewhere else. Both of these statements are true. As a result, we need to make the most of the time we have here by going on an exciting journey. The architect who designed and built the universe did not build a set of stairs that led to nowhere in particular. And the most powerful teacher of all, Jesus, who was a carpenter from the plains of Galilee, disclosed the secret to us by telling us again and over again, 'As you believe, so will it be done unto you.'